Welcome back, my dear champs. Let us study one more poem from William Wordsworth, that is, A slumber did my spirit seal. A slumber did my spirit seal. Before I head straightway explaining the 8 lines of this poem, first of all, I would like to tell you something about the composition of this very particular poem and something more about this very particular poem before I start explaining you each and every lines. First of all, I would like to tell you about the year this very particular poem was composed. It is said that this very particular poem was composed by William Wordsworth during his trip to Germany with his friend S.T. Coleridge, Samuel Taylor Coleridge, and his sister Dorothy Wordsworth in the year 1798, the year that saw the publication of Wordsworth and S.T. Coleridge's joint venture, that is, the Lyrical Ballads, a collection of 23 poems, 19 from William Wordsworth and 4 from S.T. Coleridge. That same year, this very particular poem was composed, but this poem was published in the second edition of Lyrical Ballads, that is in the year 1800. And this was the edition to which William Wordsworth had added preface. And preface to Lyrical Ballads is a kind of a manifesto of the Romantic age. So, the poem was composed in the year 1798 when William Wordsworth was on a trip to Germany with S.T. Coleridge and Dorothy Wordsworth, and the poem was published in the second edition of Lyrical Ballads in the year 1800. Third edition of the Lyrical Ballads came in 1802 and the last edition came in 1805. Second thing, this poem is actually one among the 5 Lucy poems written by William Wordsworth, like Strange Fits of Passion have I known, She dwelt among the untrodden ways, 3 years she grew in sun and shower, and one more I do not actually remember, and this is the last. A slumber did my spirit seal. Next very important thing, this very particular poem is divided into 2 stanzas. 2 stanzas, 4 lines each, means the poem is written in quatrain. Quatrain is a very famous stanza form, often or always used particularly for writing or composing ballads. Second important thing, that this actually quatrain is generally written in tetra and trimeter. So tetra and trimeter is also used. Now the next and very important, that the theme of this poem. The theme, though this poem looks very simple, if you look at the structure of the poem, it looks very simple, but for your kind information, the poem is not as simple, or the poem is not as simple as it actually looks. The poem is complicated. Why? Because the poem deals with life and death. The poem deals with the reality and illusion or delusion. Why? Because here the speaker of the poem just actually lets us know that there was a time. he was in a kind of a delusion. He was in a kind of a illusion, means a kind of a confusion regarding the mortality of human life. But before I could start explaining you all these, one thing I would like to tell you, that these 5 poems that I actually referred, that are known as Lucy poems, actually who this Lucy was is still a mystery. Why? Because William Wordsworth nowhere has made it clear. Since William Wordsworth did not make it clear who this Lucy was, he was writing poems, or he wrote 5 poems. Even his critics and the scholars and his biographers actually do not say anything in clear-cut manner. So we exactly don't know who actually this Lucy was, particularly in the life of William Wordsworth. But the way he actually talks about this Lucy, one thing is clear, that there was somebody who was very close to his own, very close to him in his own life. Maybe it was pure and pure his imagination that created this kind of a character, and maybe it is purely and purely something that is closely associated with the nature. So here in this also very particular poem, he is actually talking about a certain girl or a certain woman, and who this actually woman was or girl was, we actually don't know. But there are people, there are critics and scholars who speak a lot. There are people, or the critic, they say that once when William Wordsworth was on a trip to France, there he met a French woman named Annette Vallon, A-N-N-E-T-E, Annette, V-A-L-L-O-N, Vallon. One thing I would like to tell you, my dear learners, that if I make some spelling related mistake, I shall be greatly sorry for that, and please do overlook that. So it is said that, as per some scholars, that there was a time William Wordsworth was in actually France during the French Revolution. All right, and there he met a French woman, Annette Vallon, and he fell in love with Annette Vallon. They fell in love with each other, and their union produced a child, means they had a child, they had a baby girl, and that baby girl was named Caroline. And critics say that maybe it was Caroline, just an illegitimate daughter to William Wordsworth, and actually you can say that Annette Vallon, that is Lucy. William Wordsworth actually talks about his own poem, you see this. So here we are not for sure whether Lucy was his sister, Lucy was that illegitimate daughter from just actually Annette Vallon, or Lucy his beloved. But one thing for sure, that maybe Lucy was the result, or Lucy was purely the imagination of William Wordsworth. So now let's look at this poem and understand the 8 lines of this poem. See, A slumber, slumber means a kind of a slumber means deep sleep. Did my spirit seal? Seal, you can say locked or closed. I had no human fears. So, here you can say that William Wordsworth mean to see, a slumber did my spirit seal, I had no human fears. It means here he is delving deep into the past. Means here the poet or the speaker of the poem is actually talking about his life in the past, or his thinking about the past, or his understanding about the past, or his approach of thinking about the past. It means here the writer is talking about his past. There was a time in his own life. It seemed to him that he was in dreamland. Means he was absolutely unaware about the mortality of humans on this planet. That's why he says a slumber. Slumber, we can say it as, we can take it as illusion, a kind of confusion. And that confusion did absolutely lock his spirit soul. Means he was absolutely unaware of this fact that those who are born on this planet, they have to die. And their day of their death is even not fixed. See, same kind of a concept if you just, if I just give you a kind of a statement of Charles Lamb, one of the greatest, you can say that, essayist of the Romantic age, who is known as the prince among English essays. He once said that a man does not understand death, does not understand this, that he is mortal till he reaches 30. Same kind of a thing here William Wordsworth, or the speaker of this poem, speaks about, that there was a time in his lifetime, actually he did not know about this very particular thing. He was not aware with this, that human is what? Mortal. So he says that a slumber, so he was in a kind of a dreamland. He was in the dreamland, means he was in illusion. He was in a kind of illusion, confusion, that humans on this planet are for a certain period of time. And that's why he says, I had no human fears. And it's all because of that. He did not fear death. What do people on this planet fear most? Actually, death. But suppose if we do not know about death, if we are in a kind of a confusion, or we are in the world of imagination, will the fear of death somehow just, will the fear of death terrorize us? Somehow horrify us? No. The fear of death will only and only terrorize or horrify to those who are aware. But there was a time in the life of the speaker of the poem who did not know about death. You can see he was in a kind of a confusion. And that's why he says he had no human fears. Means he was absolutely free from the fear of death. Why? Because most of the human on this planet, they fear death. They suffer from the fear of death. Since he was not aware about death and about the mortality of humans, he was free from this fear of death. Hope first two lines clear. She seemed a thing that could not feel the touch of earthly ears. And that's why this she may be his daughter from Anity Vallon, maybe his sister, maybe his beloved. I'm not for sure. Why? Because I have found nowhere written clearly that Lucy was his sister or Lucy was his illegitimate child from Wordsworth union with Anity Vallon, a French woman, or his beloved wife Mary Hutchinson. But he says that this girl, this woman, that's why what happened, he says, she seemed a thing that could not feel the touch of earthly ears. And that's why he thought that this girl or this woman who was in the life of William Wordsworth, or who meant a lot for William Wordsworth, was absolutely free from death. He thought. Why? Because he did not have this understanding of death, understanding of the mortality of humans. And that's why he thought that this woman or girl in his life was forever. And she was never ever going to feel the sufferings. She was never ever going to understand death. Why? Because he did not have understanding of death. He means, I hope clearly, she seemed a thing that could not feel the touch of earthly ears. And that's why she did not know about the time. She did not know. Means this girl or woman in his life, she thought that she was there on the earth forever. She did not have limited time on this planet, just as we people have a limited number of days and months and years on this planet. But when actually do we realize this? When we have this realization of our mortality. But since William Wordsworth did not have this kind of understanding, you can say, or the speaker of the poem did not have this kind of understanding, same was the case of this woman or girl in his own life. And that's why he thought that this girl or woman in his life was forever. She was never ever going to get separated from him. Hope the next two lines also clear. So hope the first stanza clear. No motion has she now, no force. But this is very painful for the speaker of the poem. But now he has realized the death of that very particular woman or girl has made the poet or the speaker of the poem realized, or has brought the speaker of the poem out of his unreal world or his world of the dream to this real world. Why? Because that woman is no more, that girl is no more. And now he has realized. Why? Because now she is motionless. And what does motionlessness mean? What does just motionlessness stand for? Death. Because when the human body dies, it loses motions. Motion stands for life, and motionlessness, stillness, stands for death. So now that she is dead, and who she is, not sure. No motion has she now. Motion, life, and force, strength. Why? Because strength, 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 power. Why? Because she's dead. She neither hears nor sees. So it means dead. Neither she has the vision in her eyes to see, light in her eyes to see, nor ability to hear. Now her ears are deaf, and deaf to all the sounds on this earth, and no light in her own eyes left to see. Why? Because she is the dust. Dust, she is dead. And now he has realized about the mortality of human life. But he says, roll round in earth's diurnal related to daytime activity course. But he says, but no matter, he says, fine, that very particular woman or girl, very important part of my life, no more dead. But she's become the part of the earth. How? Because after death, she is buried deep inside the earth. And being buried inside the earth, now she has become the just a routine action or daily action of the earth, that is the rotation of the earth. That just as the hills, the mountains, the trees, and so many other elements of the earth or nature are inert, absolutely fixed. They are one with the nature. They are the part of the earth, and being part of the earth, they are the part of the nature in the same manner. This very particular woman or girl who is dead has become the part of the earth, and because of being part of the earth, she has become the part of the nature. So she will roll. Roll means move, rotate, round and round with the rotation of the earth, with rocks and stones and trees. So he says, just as rocks, mountains, stones, reels, you can say that, reels, the trees, rivers, they are the part of the earth. They are the inseparable part of the earth. In the same manner, this woman or girl who is no more and buried deep in the earth has become the part of the earth and become one with the nature. So my dear learners, I hope you must have understood this very particular poem. Now let's look at the figures of speech. See this. Slumber, dead my spirit. So see, slumber S, spirit S, seal S means 3 words begin with H sound, means alliteration in the first line. I had no human fears. See this, fine. If you pay attention to this, you see this. The first line just ends without any punctuation mark, and then second line, and at the end of the second line we have punctuation. It means enjambment is used, enjambment. So if the line of a poem ends without punctuation mark, it is called enjambment. So in the first line, alliteration. See this first line also, enjambment. Why? Because the first line ends without punctuation. I had no human fears. 5. Fine. She seemed, again see alliteration, seemed. Thing, see thing, that. So see again here 2 words just begin with S and 2 words with T. So again alliteration. The touch of the earthly ears, the touch of the earthly ears. Fine. Next, no motion has she now no force. So no motion has she no, morphose, fine. She, see, she neither hear nor sees, fine. She neither hears, see, again, she sees, again, alliteration. Rolled round in the earth's diurnal course, rolled, see, rolled round in earth's diurnal course. So again alliteration with rocks and stones and trees. So if you pay close attention to this very particular poem, the poem is very much alliterative, means alliteration has been used in most of the lines of the poem. Second thing, this I told you that this first line ends without punctuation. So what? Enjambment. See, third line again ends without punctuation. The fourth line again ends without punctuation. Then again, see, the seventh line again ends without punctuation. So anaphora is also used in this poem. If you look this, that did, spirit, I sound. So we can say that assonance is also used in this poem. So I hope, my dear learners, these figures of speech are also clear to you. That's it in this video, my dear learners.